So, over the past weekend, I resampled an old song of mine and I made something completely different. Let me show you how. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Enrique from One Take Recording, and today we're back with another jam vlog. So, over the past weekend, I resampled a song that I released previously on Spotify. Here's a snippet of it. This song's called Moving Out, Moving On. Now, this song of mine is something that I wrote and produced. So I already have all the stems and I keep a file of them, and I decided why not take them and try to make something new with them. So that's what I ended up doing. I took the Digitakt to a coffee shop and kind of just worked away. And today we're going to be breaking down and I'm going to show you guys what I did with the samples and kind of how I changed everything up. Guys, we're back at the Digitakt again. This is where I resampled the song, and I used just a couple of random samples from this song, and I'll play them real quick so you guys can hear them. I got every track pretty much muted, and except the first one, and this is where I started with just a bass drum, and I have two throughout the song. These two just switch out and they play together as a form of variation. And then I also have some other just basic drum kit sounds from the default drum kit. Now these five right here, they play the biggest part in the whole core of the drums for this sample. Besides that, I have the samples. Now, with this track, I didn't change the tempo and I didn't change the key from the original, so it was really easy to just start adding some drums and changing things up. The biggest parts that got changed were what we'll see is some of the vocal takes and some of the guitar samples. So, looking into this track, I have 9 different patterns that I ended up building, and this first one was just kind of an intro, doing a very basic kind of kick pattern, using that second kick to add to it. And then this is where we have these kind of higher elements that are helping to make an anchor for the song. Now this is very much what the core of all the patterns are, and there is some slight changes throughout it, but this kind of makes up the whole entire song. Just with this first track, it was very basic what I did, so I'll start adding everything back in. Very basic what I did. I just wanted this as kind of an intro, keeping it very normal before we start diving into something else. So as you can hear, very kind of normal, something that would almost be recorded from the original song that I did. As we go through these patterns, they are not in complete order. When I write these, I don't necessarily know what it's going to be. I don't write it as a verse, chorus, or anything. It kind of just forms into something. So the second one, to me, is kind of a first chorus or just an overall chorus. But we'll play it real quick. And what I did here was this starting guitar, I kept the same. What got changed here was these guitars. I made another sample and I put it into grid mode here, and it's pitched up. As we kind of hear it, I think it sounds pretty cool. It adds a really cool higher octave, which I think, you know, kind of makes this beat very, you know, fun and kind of energetic, I guess. I don't know the right word for it, but and then as we add it with the other guitar, So you can hear how it builds up, and I think it adds a really cool kind of progression from what we had in the original part. Now let's go on to 3. I start using some of the vocals that I had, and this was pretty difficult. This was just a random vocal that I got, and I decided I just wanted sections. So like here. In the grave, and I really liked this part, in the grave. So I wanted this to be something that repeated throughout the song. In the grave, in the grave, in the grave, in the grave, in the grave. And we use this part a lot. And I kind of wanted this to be another kind of progression before we got into that higher part. And as you heard from this pattern, what's really different is there's not this higher part. Not that. I was messing with something and didn't work out. But we just use this in the grave part and no original high part from pattern 2. Going on to 4, guys, I'll be honest, this was a pattern that I made and I just did not like how it sounded. So it's something that I'm not going to use. And it's pretty much a similar pattern, but I'll let you guys hear it just to, show that not everything makes it to the final cut. But so as you can hear, there's a really low pitched voice, which is something I wanted to incorporate, but honestly did not work out as much as I wanted it to. So going on to 5, we're still progressing. And this is where I decided to keep it similar to pattern 2, but instead change up this guitar. And instead of it being played forward, what I did was I chopped it up using the grid mode on here from the machine. You're able to do these one shots or set it to grid. There's a couple other ones. I really like using the grid. And I set my track 9 guitar to be triggered once we got to the second half of the pattern. And these are some automations, but it was reversed, so you can hear it right here. And it takes away some of that energy that was built in the first, it takes away some of the energy that was built in the second pattern, and I think kind of mellows it out. So I think it's a really good transition kind of part. Going on to 6, I did something similar, but I chopped it up a little bit more, so the guitar started to sound what I guess would be the best way to say is, and I did that on track 10. And really all I did was I added some more triggers throughout the song, and I started it at a separate time. There's not much you can see there just because the gain was down when I turned the sample or when I downloaded the sample, but you'll hear it here. And with this cut, it's not perfect. You could hear that little kind of clip at the end, but I think it adds a cool kind of rhythmic element to what we were playing and how it sounds. Moving on, we're going to pattern 7, where this is kind of an alternative verse of what we had in pattern 3 with the In the Grave. Nothing too much on here except we are using this In the Grave pattern a lot, just as kind of a build-up. I thought it'd be kind of cool to have it repeating, and then at the very end it says, I just hope what you said, and then it goes back to In the Grave. This is kind of just, like I was saying, a build-up to what we had in the third one. Going on to 8, it's kind of similar. Really, the biggest difference is we're adding what we had in pattern 2 with that higher pitched guitar. And lastly, we'll go to pattern 9, which was the last pattern I made for this one. And it's something very similar, but I would say this is the ending chorus where everything's the loudest, everything's the most upbeat. And this is really where I was trying to get that loop of in the grave, I hope you meant what you said, in the grave, and kind of go as a loop like that, because I thought it kind of sounded cool and it worked well together. But the biggest takeaway from all these different patterns here, at least with my workflow, is that I want them to be interchangeable. I want to be able to say go from 9 to 3 to 5. Really, when I'm trying all of these different patterns out, I'm just trying something new. I'm adding a slight adjustment, a slight sample adjustment, either changing the octave, changing the starting place, reversing it, and just trying to build up as I go. These patterns act as almost a different sketch pad from my original sample, which sounded like this. Very, mellow and chill. And the nice thing is I said this first one I wanted as something that could be the intro, but I could also put this. And then we could go on into pattern 2 as like our chorus, and it would still work. And I think that's what makes it really fun. And, that was really the biggest goal of mine. All right, guys, now is time for my favorite part of these videos, where I get to actually play what I made on the Digitakt and show you guys kind of a live set with some manipulation with like the filters and everything and the mutes and all of that. Now, this video was a little bit different than last week, where I'm kind of going reverse and showing you guys what's inside of the beat I already made versus kind of making it in the video. When I made this originally, I was at a coffee shop. I just wanted to get some work done. So I decided, this was a cool kind of beat. And it was really cool to see how my original song that was completely recorded on guitar, in Logic on my DAW, was able to get resampled and then put on the Digitakt. And I think it sounds pretty cool. But that's, my own opinion. Once again, my name is Enrique from One Take Recording, and I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll be back again next week with more music, and if you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel, and I got all the gear that I used today linked down below as well if you want to check that out. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this little playthrough.